Welcome back to Day One Energy, the podcast for entrepreneurs. We have an incredible guest on today. Emily, thank you for coming along. It's so awesome to have you here. Would you like to, I suppose, introduce yourself? Let us know what you do.
Yeah, well, I'm Emily. I am a full-time personal trainer. I have been for the last 3 years. That's really all there is to me. I don't really do anything else. I just work full-time.
Strictly business.
Strictly business, yeah.
Love it. So Rawbodi is your business.
That is my business.
So you do personal training, a lot of online coaching as well, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing that stands out with your business, which a lot of personal trainers don't do, is just the body positivity side of things, which you're really big on.
Yeah.
Love watching your rants. They're always great.
The one the other day. If you want to eat GYG, eat GY.
Yeah.
I rate that so hard. I've got a GYG addiction.
Oi, same.
Yeah. If you look on my desk right now, there's a free Kelly burrito card on my desk.
There might not be when I leave. There might not be when I leave.
Yeah. But no, yeah, thank you so much for coming along.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. It's my first podcast ever.
Yeah, wow.
First of many, hopefully.
Thank
Very
you. Super
exciting.
privileged.
Yeah.
Well, on Day One Energy, we talk about how people have gotten into business, but also how they maintain the same motivation from day one, and that's so important to have a long business career.
Absolutely.
But also stay positive in the mindset that you want success, but it's a slow road, and how you're going to maintain that day one energy. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you started Rawbodi, a bit of your background getting into personal training, into fitness, body positivity, from that day one?
Yeah. Well, Kieran actually reminded me, I completely forgot. Rawbodi started as painting. I was painting and drawing because it was COVID. I couldn't work. Was it COVID? I think it was COVID. I couldn't work, but I was also recovering from a pretty severe eating disorder, so I couldn't do anything. I had to be watched 24/7. I couldn't do anything. So painting was just something that I could do at home, and I completely forgot. It's fully started as painting, and I was always right. I was oh, you weren't here from day one anyway. But I was always painting. I was always drawing, and I was always drawing different figures, different bodies, all different shapes and sizes, and that's how it started. I started selling canvases as Rawbodi, and then from there I was also studying my Cert 3 and 4 at fitness to become a personal trainer, and I just looked at my archive stories, and I put it up on my story would anyone want to see my journey to becoming a personal trainer? And everyone was yeah, and so I just turned that account into my personal training journey. But in terms of getting into a personal training journey, I worked in a gym in Capalaba for 2 years, but I worked as their admin, reception. So it was 4:30 a.m. starts, opening the gym,
Shocker.
Yeah, girl, it was
You can relate.
Yeah.
Are you really early morning as well?
Used to be.
Oh, it's
used
just...
to be. I've probably settled down a bit now. I'm late night.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm a night owl.
Really?
I go to bed late, so I can work later than I can, if I wake
more
up
productive
earlier.
later than you are in the morning.
100%.
Yeah. But it was 4:30 a.m. starts, but finished at 7:30, so it was fine. So I still had the whole day. So I was what do I do with my day? I love training. I loved to train. So I was why don't I become a personal trainer? I saw the different PTs in the gym, and I was they look like they have the life I want. They're helping people, which is something I was really passionate about doing. And you're your own boss. That's all. It's so awesome. To be your own.
Oh, the
to be your own
freedom of it.
100%. It's terrifying. It's so scary, and your successes are because of you, and that's great. But your failures are also because of you as well, which is so scary.
Yeah.
Everything is reliant on you as a human, but it's so fun, and I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else at all.
So it's going well?
Yeah, it's actually it is. It's going really well. I've been PTing now for about 3 years.
Wow.
And each year has just consecutively gotten better and better and better. Which isn't luck. It's you work for it, and you figure out what you didn't do last year that you should do this year, and you just learn. And you guys would know as business people, sometimes you fuck it up, like sometimes you mess it up, and like you learn. That's how you learn and make mistakes.
Yeah. More than anyone thinks, like starting a business, everyone's like, and we've spoken about it in the first episode, starting a business, everyone's like, oh my god, you must be rich, you must have so much money, running a business is so easy, and we're here like, I'm still poor.
Yeah. It's fine, you can write it off on tax. Cool, it doesn't make it free.
Yeah, and I don't even have the money in the first place.
That was a really big thing. Like when I started in a gym, and so I didn't have to buy any equipment, which was great, but it was $200 a week in rent.
Okay.
And like when you're like just starting as a PT, like I had another job. Like I was still working reception at the gym. I got a part-time job at Subway. Like I needed income from somewhere else because I was not making, or I was making maybe $200 a week as a PT when I first started. And I was like, all of that goes to my rent. I was like, I have no other income.
Literally take like 3 clients at least to pay the rent.
Yeah, at least. And then like I was, I guess not naive, but I didn't want to charge high prices when I started, which was a mistake on my behalf. Like you got to charge what you're worth from the beginning because it's so much harder to then be like to your clients, hey, I know I said it was $30, but it's 50 now. Like just start it at 50, start at what you're worth. Like back yourself 100% and know like what you are worth as a personal trainer or a business owner. I
don't want to point fingers, but my media guy, he's done that to me a couple of times.
I guess it's gradual growth.
This is an intervention.
I guess it is a gradual growth thing. So at the start, obviously your confidence is going to be lost because you haven't done much before. But as you grow and as you become more qualified and experienced in what you do, you are worth more. I was speaking to our business mentor the other day and he said, I'm now experienced in what I do, so I can charge more. But you can be qualified in what you do but have no experience, but the 100%. Experience is what's valuable.
100%. And like, maybe not everyone's like this, but I learn on the job. Like doing all of my theory and exams as a getting my cert 3 and 4 was great, and like I learned so much, but like no one is coming in and being like, what are the 2 muscles of the calf? Like, you know, tell me. Literally. Like nobody's asking those questions. Like you have to, and I think PTing is such like you have to be a people person. Like you have to know how to talk to people and relate to people, and even if you don't relate, figure out a way to, like, find a way around it. Like, say I'm not going through the exact same thing you went through. Like, figure out a way that you can have some sort of input without overstepping your boundary. But you only learn that by doing it. Like, you only learn that by...
100%. Yeah. Like, the real estate license and certificate, you learn the legislation. You don't learn how to sell a property, how to list a property, how to negotiate offers. And it's like, cool, I got it.
Yeah.
How
and
do I
also,
start?
like, also just answering, like, dumb questions. Like, not that, you know, no question's a dumb question. The only dumb question's the one you don't ask. But, like, sometimes you get really stupid questions. Or, like, things that to you are such common knowledge, but to the general population are not. And so you have to, without being like, are you serious? Engage in a way that you're like, oh, okay, this is what this means. And explain it in ways that a general person can understand. Because, like, if you used your, like, real estate terminology on me, I would be like...
Well, yeah, exactly. And, like, sometimes we forget.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of agents out there that will say CMA. Do you know what a CMA
Absolutely
is?
not.
It's a comparative market analysis.
And I just bought a house, and I'm
appraisal. Like... Yeah, which is an appraisal. But so many agents say CMA, and people are like, what are you talking about?
YMCA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. No, it's... And I think as we get further, like, into the career as well, I think sometimes people forget it. I catch myself every now and then, and I'm like, actually, do you know what? I just said something, this person has no idea what I'm saying.
And that's what, like, learning on the job is like, you... And I think, like, in the beginning of PTing, I, like, tried to use all the really, like, tough terminology. So people knew, I was like, you now know I know what I'm talking about. Like, you get it.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And as great as it is to know all of those things, if your audience doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about, then, like, you're screwed. Like, it means nothing. It really means nothing. If they don't, if it goes straight over their head, you may as well not be saying it. Like,
it's a connection thing, right? 100%. And as a PT, I think what an interesting question would be is how much of your PT times is actually fitness related and how much of your PT times is almost therapy.
Yeah.
Like, people need actually an outlet to talk about what's going on in here to get the body right, but also the mind right, and you almost become an outlet for that. I know my hairdresser goes, I'm a part-time hairdresser and a part-time therapist. You have no idea the stories I know. I was like,
I know, people just come in and spill. Like, I'm like, yes. honestly 50-50. Yeah. Like, obviously people are coming in because they want to work out and, you know, they want to get their body moving, which is great. But so much, and I think that, I guess, speaks to the way that I promote myself as well. Like, I'm not just a PT, like, let's go in, let's work. Like, I'm very much so, like, if your mind is not right, your body's not going to be either.
Exactly.
Like, get your head right before you can get your body, like, to where you want to be.
Agree.
And, like, in terms of, like, people coming in with, like, specific goals, like, you are going to reach that goal and immediately have another one.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a matter of, like, you know, I want to lose X amount of kilos, which is great, but then you lose that, and then you're like, okay, now what's next? Like, I want to do something else, which is awesome. But if you can get, like, out of the mindset of, like, just moving on to the next thing and actually, like, sitting there and appreciating what you've just done, I think that's a really big thing that I help with my clients.
Yeah,
is like,
100%.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people, well, probably majority of people do. I do it all the time. Like, I bought a new car in December and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
What's next?
Yeah.
It's so common and it happens all the time. Like, I guess it's just human nature. And, like, to some extent it's great. Like, you're looking ahead, like, you want to keep growing and you want it, but, like, if you actually don't have the time to, like, sit back and realize, I just bought a new car. Like, that's a big thing to do.
Like,
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, actually sit there and, like, take it in and be like, that's such a cool thing to do. I think we often forget to, like, appreciate the things that we've already done.
100%. And it literally wasn't until, like, beginning of this month, I think we were talking, because I bought my dream car. I was like, that's the car I want.
Congratulations.
But it didn't click until, like, the beginning of this month. We were sitting there talking and I was like,
Yeah. I did that.
I actually did that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any, because you've been in it for a while now, do you have any powerful moving stories of some of your clients that have had amazing success stories, not only physically but mentally, and then maybe sometimes what they've done to their body has really got them in the right mindset and then they've gone off and done something really successful or something, like
I
that?
think, like, some of the biggest ones are just, like, confidence within themselves. So, like, having clients come in and, like, wearing really baggy t-shirts, like, long leggings, like, I'm not wearing shorts, I'm not wearing a crop, like, and those are, like, little things and, like, I guess not, like, materialistic things, but, like, wearing a crop top and, like, shorts, like, to people who haven't struggled with, like, that insecurity and, like, that self-doubt, I guess it's probably not a big thing for them. But for someone to, like, come in and be, like, sweating and, like, so uncomfortable in, like, a massive t-shirt, but they physically can't take it off, like, they cannot take it off. I think seeing people go from, like, that to then eventually coming in, they're going to try shorts today, or they're going to try a crop today, and just, like, seeing, or, like, you know, they've gone to the beach and it's the first time they've gone to the beach in, like, months, because they just feel better about themselves. And, like, not because they've lost 10 kilos, because they mentally, like, realize your body's the least interesting thing about you.
Yeah.
Like it's and in the moment, it's absolutely not. And, like, when you are concerned about the way you look and insecure about the way you look, it's the only thing you think people think about. But, like, once you've gotten over that, you look back and you're like, literally no one cares what you look like.
Yeah, everyone's so focused on how they look, they're not worried about
Like,
how you look.
it's morbid, but, like, when you die, people are not going to be like, he was jacked, like, or, like, you know.
Although I do say that about Alex all the time.
But, like, you're like, well.
Yeah.
But, like, people don't care. Yeah. People don't care. But it's easy to get wrapped up into it and think that that's the only thing people care about.
Well, that's the society we live in.
100%.
And so many social media influencers, they're all about that. They're, like, getting, and you do quite a lot of videos on like the different poses and, like, one in particular, you were, like, just sitting there and you were like, this is my body.
Yeah.
And then there was, like, the other one and it was like,
yeah, like, it's the way that you can manipulate the way that you look online is insane.
I actually didn't notice it until I watched one of your videos and now I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, she's got her leg out, like,
yes, literally, like, her leg is out, her chest is up, and, like, they look great. Like, go for it. If that makes you feel good, like, absolutely. But you also have to feel good relaxed.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't feel good just sitting there, but you only feel good, like, when you're posed, then that's still, like, a mental battle there. Like, you have to be able to feel good, like, in your own skin, like, as you, also as posed. Being posed is, like, who cares? Like, you look great. Like, pose all day long. As long as you can also be comfortable when you're not posed. Then,
100%.
I
love that point of difference that you offer as a trainer.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like I said, like, not many trainers do that.
Thanks.
I think the mental side of things is so important, and it gets so disregarded a lot these days.
Yeah.
Especially social media.
100%.
Gosh, it's so toxic.
It honestly, like, it's my whole job, but it's like such a toxic place to be sometimes.
It's my job, and I hate it. Like,
literally, oh my gosh.
my job is to make people more popular and create portfolio and grow their businesses, but at the same time, it's almost counterintuitive to who you are as a person and your mental health. Yeah. And that's one thing that I've always struggled with, is you always got to put on a persona, or you got to act like this, got to act
100%.
like that.
As soon as there's a mic in front of you or a camera on you, it's like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, like, yay, like, you have to, like, and then as soon as it's off, you're like back to being like, oh, like, this is the worst, like, and so it's finding, I guess, that balance between like really high and really low lows, and like finding that like middle ground.
Regulated.
Yeah.
Well, more on a business point of view now, can we talk about your growth from the start to where you are now?
Yeah.
What you've changed in your business as it's grown, and where you see yourself moving with the business in the following years, and how you're going to maintain your day one energy doing it.
Yeah, okay. Well, like I said before, like when I started, I was at a gym and it was $200 a week in rent. Could not afford that. And for a lot of it, this is a little tangent, but for a lot of it, I was like in and out of hospital. I've got some pretty gnarly health issues that I was consistently not working. And when you're a PT, you're trading time for money. Like, that's really all you're doing. If you are not physically in the gym training clients, you're not making money. Well, that's how it was like a few years ago. Now it's a lot more, you can do things online and you can make money online, which is something that I was not aware of when I first started. So when I first started, it was like, unless I'm hustling so hard in the gym and like breaking my body in the gym, I wasn't making money, couldn't afford to pay my rent, couldn't PT. So it was like, I had another job, and then I had another job, and I was just consistently trying to get income from elsewhere. So if I was not able to physically PT, I could get money otherwise. And so moving on through the years, I left that gym, which taught me so much. So grateful to have had that experience, but I would never go back. Like, I would, not just to that gym, but I would never go back to being a PT in a gym setting ever again. Like, I feel like after you kind of open your own thing and you're your own boss, like, it's hard to go back to like someone else telling you what to do. I think about it all the time when my friends like, oh, like I have a shift from like, 5 till 7. I'm like, what? Like, as soon as you tell me to do something, I'm not doing it. Like, no, I'm not. And so you're like, And so I think after leaving that gym, I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. Like, I'm going to build my own gym. Fortunately, my parents have room in their house that I could steal a garage and build my own gym. Which I was very lucky for. Not everyone has that opportunity. But like, that was a process. Like, building a gym is expensive. Oh my God. And so every cent that I made was straight to the gym. Like, it was, I need to save up. I need to, I need to buy dumbbells. I need to buy a leg press. I didn't need to buy a leg press, but I really wanted to buy a leg press. And so when I first started, like, I had the bare minimum. I had a barbell, I had a squat rack, and I had like a few sets of dumbbells. But I made it work. And, I would advertise like how I do now, in the sense of like, I'm not just another PT. Like, I'm also here for your mental side as well. Like, helping your physical health is great, but your mental health has to be somewhere too. Like, it can't be down in the dumps, and your physical health is great, because I've been there. Like, I've been there where I'm like, I hated myself. But I looked great. Like, I was so strong. But like, I was never happy with where I was, ever. And like, I look back now, I'm like, oh my God, I was so strong. Like, what was I thinking? But in the time, I was like, this is the worst. Like, I hate the way I look. So I've been there. And so I think to advertise myself as somewhere in the middle, and like figuring out a way to balance that out was really helpful, because I didn't have a lot of equipment. So I had to stand out in another way. Like, I had to be able to offer something else. And then I guess as the years went on, like, I got more and more equipment, which is great. And, obviously making more money is a plus. Like, it's a bonus. It's obviously what people look for, as much as people are like, I'm not in it for the money. Like, you kind of are. I kind of am. Like, I would do it for free, and I have done it for free, and it's amazing, but the money is, you need it to live.
Exactly.
So I got bills to pay.
No, literally, you got a new car to pay for. And so I guess just building equipment, building clientele was the next step. And now from there, now that I've got like a pretty steady client base, I've got consistent clients, which is a big thing PTing. Having a consistent client base, it's great to have like 100 clients, but if they don't come back, then you're in trouble. And so like, forming consistency is a really big thing. And so I really honed in on that, thinking like, how am I going to get you to come back? Like, I need to make this your first introductory session so good that you come back to me, that you want to come back. Because there's so many personal trainers. The industry is so saturated. I'm assuming it's the same in real estate. Like, the industry is really saturated.
I have no idea.
You have to have a difference.
Especially throughout COVID, the amount of new agents that came in, because it was like the easiest market ever.
Yes.
Properties were literally selling themselves. So we had so many new agents come on, but then in like November 22, when the market sort of came back a bit, we just watched all of those.
Everyone,
agents,
see ya.
Right
Yeah. And so like a saturated market, like you have to have a point of difference. And so that was the same thing with like the mental health side of it. That was my point of difference. And so I really honed in on that in the last couple of years as well. And then I guess in terms of where I see myself going, now that I've got that consistent in-person client base, I also have a consistent online client base. So I offer online training, so they can do it from anywhere. I've got people in Sydney training with me, like,
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so good.
Is that under like a retainer model? So like monthly payments at the end of every month.
So
Or
they
is it weekly
weekly, yeah.
Wow.
So they'll pay weekly. So they have access to like my own personal app. Gives them all the video demonstrations, gives them the reps, tracks their weights that they're lifting.
Yeah, perfect.
So I can see them all as well, which is great. And
That's so sick.
it's such a like
Something that
to be
runs in the
like
background.
make money. Yeah, literally.
yeah.
Like I'm just consistently getting an income. So I don't and that's where I was in the very beginning. I was like, how can I make an income without physically being in the gym 24/7?
Yeah.
Like 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. Like, how can I make money without doing that?
That is so smart.
And it's online, like,
Yeah.
and there's so many different avenues to do it. Like, I run online challenges, I run online programs, like, and again, the point of difference in that compared to every other 8-week program there is that it's not just physical.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not taking before and after photos, 'cause I don't care how you look, I care how you feel.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel better than when you started? Yep, then that's a win. Like,
Yeah.
that's a bonus. And like,
That's
just
so
in
valid.
little things, like, are your clothes fitting you better? Like, great. I don't care how much you weigh. Like, that's so, like, it's so redundant. Like, it literally means nothing. Your scale weight means nothing.
Yeah.
I can talk about this
Yeah.
forever. But, like,
You know,
genuinely,
I couldn't even tell you the last time I weighed myself.
well, it literally means something. Like, it fluctuates like 2 kilos at least a day.
Yeah.
It is so stupid. And that's such a big thing, is like getting clients out of the mindset of like, I weigh this much, I want to weigh this much.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee you, when you weigh that much, your second number, you're going to want to be lower. You'll get to like whatever X amount of kilos, you'll be like, oh, I need to drop 2 more. I need to drop 2 more. And then it's just such an unhealthy, vicious cycle. Like, you're never happy with where you are.
I mean, we've both done weight losses. Like, I've done 2 15-kilo weight losses. You did a big one. But,
Yeah,
like
twice.
twice. Like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
and both times you get you get back down, and you try and maintain for 2 months. Kills you in the mind.
Yeah.
Back up.
It's such like,
Yeah.
and that's like yo-yo dieting.
So
like, that's
it's
like,
the balance.
Yeah.
It really is
Yeah.
the balance.
Like, the first time I lost a lot of weight, I was working at a gym as well. And I did it through 8-week challenges.
Yeah.
But the 8-week challenges that you were doing, like, it was not sustainable.
yes. Yeah.
So by the time I'd finished it, like, I got really skinny. I weighed 54 kilos. Like,
Holy
you could see my ribs.
wow.
And I talk about like body dysmorphia and that sort of stuff.
You had no idea what you looked
I
like.
thought I still needed to lose weight. I was like skinny
shocking,
as.
Yeah.
But-
Like, you look back now and you're like,
Yeah,
but in
I'm
the
like,
time,
okay,
you're
cool.
like,
Can I
it's
get my
still
six pack
huge.
back?
Yes.
Like-
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
But it was like, as soon as I stopped, it was like I just literally stopped everything.
It's not sustainable.
It's
and
not.
like those 8-week challenges, and I've done so many of them, and that was where I got like really unhealthy. I was the fittest
Yeah.
I'd ever been, but I was the most unhealthy I'd ever been. And that's such a parallel that I don't think people realize enough. You
Yeah.
look great. You've lost so much weight. You've gained so much muscle. Like, oh my gosh, you're training 7 days a week. That's awesome. But I was not right in my head. Like,
Yeah.
I had never been sicker than when I was doing those 8-week challenges, which
Yeah.
is, I think, such like a paradox. People are like, oh my god, you're so fit. Like, that's so good. But I was so unhealthy.
Yeah.
And it's like, you put this facade on of being like, look how muscly I am. And it distracts people from the fact that you are so unhappy all the time.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
so like, I run these 12-week programs, but it has nothing, like, we're not tracking calories. You know, I'm not weighing you. I'm not taking measurements, because that's not, to me and to most of, like, really all of my clients, that's not what matters. Like, it matters how you're feeling. Is everyday life easier? is going upstairs like less tiring.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Which
It's
like
I think the biggest change for me, which was the second time around, which is probably the journey I'm on now, was just changing the mindset around it all. I train now for the mental side of things. Like I find some days if I don't go to the gym before work, I don't perform as well that day, and I crash so much easier. No, it's
I think
the
like,
biggest thing is the mental side of thing, I think.
And I think like something that I really like hone in on with my clients is, and this is like a personal thing because I've been in situations where I physically can't train. Like I've been stuck in a hospital bed for 3 weeks, like not being able to move, let alone pick up a weight. Like it is a privilege to be able to train. It's not something you have to do. It's something that you get to do.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that everyone can just do. Like it's such a privilege to be able to get up and go to the gym. And I think when you get in the mindset of like, I have to go to the gym because I have to keep this figure, or I have to go to the gym because people expect me to go to the gym, is such a different thing to I have to go to the gym because I actually want to.
Yeah.
And like that's what I aim for with clients, is getting you into a space where you actually enjoy training, and it's a privilege, and realizing
that's a really important mindset as well, saying I get to rather than I have to. That was one thing that my first mentor ever taught me. Because I used to go, I have to go to work today. I have to go to work. And then he was like, stop saying that.
Yeah.
He said, I want you to get up every morning, look in the mirror and say, I get to go to work.
to go. Yeah.
And that 100% changed everything.
Just like the way that you speak to yourself matters. Like the way that you expect and like manifest things in, like say what you want to hear. Like don't, as soon as you, and I just had this conversation with a client, is they were like, they had something going on in their life and they couldn't sustain it, and they're like, I'm giving up on this. It's like, no, you're not. You're not giving up on anything. You're actually getting on with your life. You're not giving up on it. You can't sustain this healthily. So the best thing that you can do is stop doing it. You put such a negative connotation on things by saying, I have to do this, or I'm giving up on this. As soon as you add like negative connotations around things, your brain will you'll trick yourself into being like, I have to go to work. Work's the worst. Where it's like, I get to go to work. Oh my gosh, I get to go. And that's really exciting. And your brain, you'll trick yourself, like gaslight yourself as much as like, that sounds terrible. Gaslight yourself into being like, I get to get up today and do this. And that's such an awesome thing because not many people can do that.
Yeah, it's the different words actually, like a lot of people don't realize, but different words have negative and positive. Like for me, one thing I love is yes and instead of but. We did an exercise in the office when Lockie was working in the office with us. Like if I was to say I'm going to build a helicopter, but like you don't really have the funds for it. It's like, oh, you've just shut me down. Wow. But if you were like, I'm going to build a helicopter, awesome, and let's put some guns on it.
That is awesome. I've never heard of that.
Like build on it, and it gets you like you're feeling excited.
I'm like, let's build a helicopter. That is awesome.
I love it. I'm super big on it.
I'm stealing that.
That's a big part of my business. And when I was talking to Alex about the services that I wanted to offer and the quality.
Alex is our business mentor.
Yes.
Nice, thank you.
And the quality of like we have a thing where like before appraisals I do like a lot of agents do what's called like a pre-appraisal kit, something like that. You drop it at the door. Like a lot of people do folders, we do big boxes. And it's got heaps of cool stuff in it, like that can actually be used, like books and pens. Like tips on how to sell your property, all that sort of stuff.
Like it's not just something someone's gonna like throw away.
And Alex was really good with it because I was like, okay, cool, I love the stuff in here. I want to put this in it. He was like, yeah, okay, cool, and you could probably do that as well. And it was just the yes end, especially when it comes to service and providing stuff, is just so cool.
That is awesome.
Because it doesn't set any limitations.
And like, it's scary pitching ideas. Like, especially when you have to pitch it to someone else and be like, so I'm thinking of doing, like, when I told my parents that I was gonna like PT full time and like I was still living at their house rent free, I was like, so I know I have a steady income right now, but I'm actually not gonna do that for very long. I'm gonna go out on a limb and And fortunately, my parents back me 100%. Like my dad's own.
That's like the best time to do it.
There's also room
exactly.
for growth. If you're working a job, you're pretty much capped at how successful or how rich or how whatever your goals are to be in life. But if you work for yourself, you're giving yourself literally the world at your hands to go. You could, grow your PT business to be 70 PT trainers in the biggest gym in Australia.
Like I started off painting.
Yeah.
Like, and now I've grown into like this is my full-time income.
Yeah.
Like, there's no limitation when you're your own boss. Like, that really, really, if you think about it, obviously, you don't have that same security, but like that just makes you hustle even harder.
Exactly.
Like,
how bad do you want it?
Exactly.
And we talk about how like when you leave school, that the expectation is you go to uni or you do a trade or you take a gap year, go over to Europe, drink booze, come back even into a terrible mindset, then you go, then you left. And the problem we found is like we both young, we're all young when we started businesses, and although it was so hard and people looked at you weird and go, oh, why do you do that? But it's actually chase your dreams, and it should be programmed into our brains that that you can do it. You can actually do it.
It's not achievable. A pathway that was ever explored.
No,
school doesn't teach you life. And
how do I pay bills? How do I? I know how to do algebra. Like, how do I pay bills?
What's tax?
What is tax? What is an ABN? How do you start a business? Do you have to open a business bank account? Like even the most basic things. You got to go out and learn on your own, and that's.
And like for those who don't know, Emily and I went to school together.
We did go to school. We go way back.
Yeah. You're pushed to do like the higher subjects like maths B, and all that sort of stuff, but it's actually the like lower subjects that teach you more life skills.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure math we were pushed so hard to go to uni.
Oh yeah.
And we were the last of OP, and dude, everyone pushed us so hard to do OP, but I think we actually had
were you the grade below? Score. Or you our year? We graduated.
I'm low.
He's still a child.
Thank you.
I thought so. Nice thing.
Interesting on that.
Wrapping up. Thank you so much.
On how hard they push you, like when I graduated and like we're doing our external exams, there were extremely intelligent girls who had worked so hard in the entire year and were so smart and were driven and were bound for greatness, and they still are. But they were walking out halfway through exams in tears, crying because they feel like the world's over because they got one question wrong. I said, what's wrong? What is wrong with that? That is so broken.
I talk about this all the time. I was a pretty good student at school. I got great grades. I got a great OP. Didn't use it. Did not use it. Like, I went to uni for 4 weeks. I literally went to uni for 4 weeks for psychology and was like, this is not for me. I could not sit in a class. Like I said, like I'm such a hands-on person and I learn on the job that I could not fathom the thought of sitting in a classroom again for 4 more years, at least.
And how many of your clients have gone, hey, Emily, can I see your Cert 4 in fitness?
Yeah.
Can I see your OP certificate, please?
Yeah, like what OP did you get? That will qualify you to be my personal trainer. Like, it just doesn't happen. And like, I look back all the time, and Kira and I will talk about it all the time. Like, we put so much pressure on ourselves in school. Like, at school, like I've got a couple clients who are going through year 12, and I'm like, just chill. Like, just chill.
I think it's crazy that you're pushed to make a decision on the rest of your life there.
Yeah.
Like, you work so hard for ages, I want to be a doctor, and then when you leave, you're like, I actually don't want to be a doctor. Why did I do that?
Most people have like 3 career changes in their life.
Well, that's what I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the average like business owner is like 42. Like the business starter is like 42 years old. Like,
well, average millionaire's 49 and average billionaire's 63 or something.
There's still time. There's still time.
So much time.
40 years.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Clock's ticking.
I do have one question.
Okay.
We all have setbacks. What has your biggest setback been, and why did you keep going, and what kept you going?
Yep. Okay, there's a few, but like they kind of relate. I think my health obviously was a really big one. Like, I have kidney disease and was diagnosed when I was 17 with it, like through school. Was in hospital for like 3 weeks. I had massive blood clots in my lungs. They told me like at 17, like if I went to bed that night, like I wouldn't have woken up the next morning. So to be like at 17 and be like, oh, this is the end. You're like, oh. And I think that like put into perspective, like, oh my God, like, what am I stressing about? Like, why am I so stressed all the time about the way I look and, like, the grades I'm getting? Because, like, it literally could have all ended and that would have meant absolutely nothing. Like, if I didn't enjoy the life that I had for 17 years, then, like, it literally meant nothing.
Yeah.
So, like, that was a big, like, whoa, wake up call to be like, and I hope that people don't experience that, but that's what, like, flicked a switch to me, to be like,
Do what you want to do.
whoa, yeah. Like, where am I going? Like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to be stuck behind, like, a desk for 7 more years at uni. So, like, I'm not going to. And obviously that's a big, like, dramatic thing to go through, to be like, do what you want. Like, but that's why I'm trying to help clients now do what you want without having to go through that traumatic event. But so that was a really big thing. The kidney disease is not going away ever. So learning to live with that whilst trying to run a business full time is really tough. Like, especially, like I said, when you're trading time for money, I can't always guarantee that I'm going to be able to get up and go into the gym and train clients. Like, that's not a guarantee that I have. It's not a privilege that I'm, like, given all the time. Like, there are days where I literally can't get out of bed, or, like, days that I wake up and, like, I have a rash and my joints are swollen, and Kieran's like, we need to go to the hospital, like, right now. And I'll go to the hospital and I'll be in there for a week. Like,
and that would be really detrimental to your business.
It is 100%, and that's why finding other avenues of income, like online training, where I don't have to be there physically, is so important. And so growing that online training is such a priority of mine, to be like, and like, we travel a lot. Like, I want to work anywhere from the world. Like, we just went to England for 10 days and I was still making money. Like, I set myself up to be able to do that. I made merch, so that was another form of income. It was expensive to do it, but, like, I made it all back plus some. Like, you got to spend money to make money. Like, you have to be able to, you have to be prepared to spend money to get it back. And so 100%. Like, I think finding things like merch, finding things like online training was a way to overcome the fact that I may not be able to wake up every day and train clients. So that was a really big setback, and that's, I guess, how I overcame it. But another one is, like, imposter syndrome, like, hardcore imposter syndrome. Like, I was 18 when I started PTing. I was training clients 10, 20 years older than me. And I was like, why are you listening to me? Like, do I really know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm so little. Like, what the heck? Like, and no client ever made me feel like that. Like, fortunately, I've never been in a position where someone's like, you're a baby. Like, don't tell me what to do. Everyone has been...
What did you just say, mate, before?
Yeah, anyways, cut that out. Cut that
you
out.
tell me what to do.
That's such an interesting point. Like, not being... It's almost a confidence, like, not being confident in yourself.
100%.
We were just talking about ATARs. The university... maybe shouldn't say this, but...
It's fine.
Fuck it. The University of Queensland is one of the most prestigious universities in Australia. My business got hired out by them. And the most interesting thing about that is I'm not university educated. So wouldn't you consider that a broken system, that they're paying a guy who's never been to uni to do professional work for them, but I've never been to uni? Huh?
Absolutely.
It's like what's the point in uni?
Exactly. And if you didn't say that, like, people would never know that. They would never expect it. There's probably so many, like, freelancers who are like, oh, I'm not even going to try for that gig because I'm never going to get it. And now you've just said that, they're like, oh, maybe I will.
It is.
Like, it's great.
It's terrible. Like, it's really bad. I've 100% been through it. And I still get it every now and then where I'm like, I'm not working hard enough. I need to work harder. Like, I could have done an 80-hour week and I'm like, I didn't work hard enough this week. I need to work harder.
And it's because we're in, like, a broken society of, like, if you're not, and it's like, if you're not making millions, or if you are not like going home and crashing, you're not working hard enough. Like, if you're not physically, like, ill after your day, you slacked off.
If you're not living in a waterfront property and you don't drive a Lamborghini, you're not successful. Like, what
are you even doing?
And that was an interesting point with our last guest. Is he said success is different to everyone.
It's a spectrum.
100%.
And that's one thing that society doesn't talk about at all. And again, it comes back to influencers.
Facts.
The influencers, the billionaires that are on there. Like, at the moment, I'm a massive fan of Adrian Portelli. He's one of Australia's, like, richest people.
Oh, sure,
billionaire, and owns heaps of properties. Has so many nice cars, and it's all over social media. He's on the news, everything like that. That is pushed so hard, and we don't see enough of. Like, one of my best mates, to him, success is coming home to a loving family. And yeah, it's just different for everyone, and it's not.
There's
it's
no
not
right
pushed
or
like
wrong way
that.
to
No,
do it either. It's
No.
just being aware that I think the hardest driven success in today's society is wealth, but
Yeah.
it's being aware that that's not the only form of
I think
success.
like happiness.
Mm.
To me, that's success.
Yeah. And like to somebody else, that may not be. People are like,
Exactly.
I don't care. As long as
Yeah.
I've got like my money, I'm happy. And that's fine. But like as influential teenagers, when it's not pushed into you that, you know, you can be successful in this way, this way, this way, or this way, you only see the wealth side of it. And so when you are working part-time at like, I don't know, Macca's, and you're not making 200k a year or more, you're like, I'm not successful. But
Yeah.
but maybe they're coming home and, you know, they're studying something else, and that's you're bettering yourself by learning those things.
Yeah.
That is being successful, just not in the way that you think you should be.
100%. And exterior motivation is pushed really hard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working hard to buy this car.
Yeah.
I'm working hard to buy this house. And those goals are exterior goals. And one thing that, again, our mentor taught me was find your internal motivation.
Yeah.
Like, why are you actually doing it?
What's your why?
Yeah.
If you're just doing it to buy a car, don't do it.
Yeah, because you're gonna, like we said, you're gonna buy a car and then you're gonna be like, what's next?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, what else can I buy? And I think like that's such a big thing, like with people in the gym as well. It's such an like external goal of I want to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
How do
But
you
like
feel?
you can
like,
also be successful in your training. Say you do 6 months of training, by the end of it you look the same, but you feel so much better.
turned
You're
up.
more confident than that. You're successful. Like you've
Yeah.
succeeded in that. Just because you don't look the way society told you should look does not mean you are not being successful. Like
And you've turned up multiple times a week, and you've put yourself to it, and you've challenged yourself. And
yep, even when you
that's-
didn't want to. And I think that's a big thing, like
Resilience.
showing up when you don't want to, whether it's showing up to work, showing up to the gym,
Yeah.
showing up when you don't want to, is when you're going to make changes.
Yeah.
For us, that was
Yeah.
one more day.
One more day. Yeah.
One more day.
Mm-hmm.
I've also heard rich in money, poor on time. What's your version of success? I saw that quote one time as, okay, so you're rich, but you
Yeah.
work 70-hour weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're
time
poor on
poor.
time.
Yeah.
What are you actually doing? Are you just working and that's your life?
And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Because it's so much more
work's
than
going to stop one day. Like you are going to stop working one
that.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have nothing outside of work, what are you doing? And I think like it's so much easier said than done to be like,
Completely agree.
have a life outside of work for people who don't own their own business. And like, owning my own business, I feel like work never stops. Like I bring work home, work is home. Like
It's in your brain
it's
24/7.
Yeah.
all the time. But I have the privilege of not being at work all the time. I'm always
Yeah.
thinking about it, but I'm not physically stuck behind a desk or behind a counter
Yeah.
all the time. And so it's easier said than done to be like, don't work 70 hours a week, like have time for you. I totally understand that it's not that easy all the time, but like it's something that you have to be conscious of. Like
Yeah.
whether or not some people, I mean most people probably can't go to their boss like, hey, so I know that I'm working like 70 hours a week, but I'm time poor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
can I have a day off? Like I know it's
Exactly.
not that simple, but if you're conscious of it, the time that you do have off work, obviously you're not working 24/7, the time that you do have off, whether it's just of a 3-hour period at the end of each day, make an effort to make that something special for you.
Your time.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
100%. I think that's a pretty good spot to wrap it up at.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so much again.
Thanks for
It
having
has
me.
been a pleasure.
This was really fun. I liked it.
Thank you so much.
You're so
I
welcome.
have to agree with that.
Check out Rawbodi on Instagram. Check out
Yeah.
Emily and what she does. Really, really cool. But thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your perspective, your opinions,
Thank you.
and what you stand for, because it's really powerful.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Stream it now.
It's really-
Yeah, absolutely.